Hi, I'm Rob Vanstone, and welcome to the Milestone 50th edition of the Rider Rumblings video podcast. Each week we pick some notable Rider jersey numbers to correlate with the edition number. So number 50, a few notables there: Wayne Shaw, Jarrell Freeman. Wayne Shaw belongs in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. And Murray McCormick will get there eventually. Murray McCormick, my worthy constituent, nice to have you with us again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And thank you for discarding your Raptors hat.
I did. I threw it on the floor there. What a great game. I know.
My spring is toast. Man, the Jets bowed out in the first round. The Nuggets bowed out in the second round. Like, so glad football. And the NHL isn't worth watching. So let's... here's the football season if there is one.
But I'll tell you, I have to admit, I don't watch the NBA during the regular season. Ever. Never. I don't even watch highlights. I just sort of pick up on the Raptors in the playoffs. And just last night's game was past one of the best games I've ever seen. What a finish, what an ending. And great to get another 7 more games, hopefully, just like that stuff. It's hard to cheer for the Raptors, I know, but it's just, I remember them coming through here. They were having a contest of what kind of name they're going to have. And I had to go cover it at a local high school gym, and they talked about Raptors and all these dinosaur names, and it was kind of set up anyway. But
I think 2 dinosaur names are Murray and Rob.
Exactly.
Sorry.
But I remember back then, I know it's kind of off the Raptors did that, and the Grizzlies didn't do any. I don't think the Grizzlies ever came over.
Like, does anybody miss them?
No.
Like,
the Raptors did a good job of setting themselves up back in the day. How long ago that was? I think it was Glenn Ficula might have something to do with it back then, but. What a fun team to watch now.
Yeah.
Kawhi
Not
Leonard.
as much fun as Denver, but oh well.
But Kawhi Leonard is just an unbelievable basketball player. And he's the best player in basketball. I know since 2001, and there was a lot of talk about Vince Carter's missed shot, but Kawhi made the shot when he had to. Missed the free throw when he could have.
Yeah, and so for that to turn around so quickly.
Oh,
and his 3-pointers all day, his shots had been flat and hitting the front of the rim. And then Joel Embiid gets in the way. He's got to put some arc on it and bounce. But
it's also, how did Jimmy Butler scoot down the floor so fast? Like, where was the defense on that one? I know the announcers were talking a whole lot about the Raptors defense, but there wasn't a very good defensive play that allowed Jimmy Butler to go the whole length of the court to get 2 points to tie it up. So there's that little...
I love basketball.
But you have Greek connections.
I do.
So you can pronounce the freak's last name.
Antetokounmpo.
All right, I'm not going there because I'm going to have to go with the freak because I know I have to admit he's about the only guy I know on another NBA team that I have to admit.
I think I got it.
Casula's going to be mad at you.
Antetokounmpo. I think I got it.
Nice try. How about that running back for the Riot?
The broadcaster's out. Oh, number 10.
Yeah.
Her last name is 3 years. Her surname is 3 characters longer than my wife's surname, which is 16, and we're celebrating our 20th anniversary on Wednesday.
Well, congratulations.
So that's the milestone for the week.
What was your wedding like? That must have been so much fun.
Murray's still bitter because I didn't invite him to my wedding, and but I always counter by saying he didn't invite me to his. The fact that we didn't know each other at the time should not be regarded as
you say you invited everybody in the newsroom except me.
It was such a small wedding.
Oh, you keep telling me that. But okay, small enough. Okay, maybe I'll get over the slight one day. Can I come to your anniversary on Wednesday?
You're welcome to join us for dinner. You're welcome to join us for a walk in the park. It's going to be a pretty low-key occasion on Wednesday. So
20 years?
20 years, May 15th, 1999.
We're heading into my 38th. So that's, holy smokes, that's a few years of wedding experience.
38. I remember the day I was going to propose, actually. It was April of 1998. And I had everything set. My wife was living in Moose Jaw at the time, working at the Moose Jaw Times-Herald. And had everything set to propose to her. And a fax comes over. This tells you how long it's been since I proposed. A fax comes over. Rough Riders call a media conference. And it was like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And they announced that Steve Sarkisian had signed a new contract. So I was going to propose, but Steve Sarkisian signing a new contract totally hijacked my day. And I didn't get to propose that day. So I did the following weekend in Saskatoon by the gazebo near the Meewasin Trail by the bridge, by University Bridge. So
Marion mentioned that she doesn't think I ever proposed to her. I think she might have
proposed to you.
Might have been one of us. It might have, but I don't ever remember. It was just kind of, we moved here.
Murray, I propose that you take out the garbage.
I think so. That'd be a good one. Yeah, we moved here in '82ish, and then we got married in late October.
Oh wow. Congrats on nearly 38. That's quite the
That's
milestone.
quite a milestone, yeah.
Football.
Exactly.
What can we talk? A few things to discuss since we last did one of these.
Can I say what they signed? The guy I was dreading as a bit of a dyslexic. Solomon Aluminium.
Aluminium. We're dealing with all the difficult surnames today, so just call him Solly.
He's Solly, but it can't. And it's just that name because one of the things happens in one of our word processing units. It always says aluminium spelt wrong. It always
has a little squiggly red line underneath.
And you keep on going, well, and it's because of the M's and the I's and the A's and the N's. You go, is it? And you keep looking at it more times than you're going to look at. Antetokounmpo. Who's that? What?
Greek freak.
Okay, Greek freak. Anyway, no matter how you pronounce his name, it's still an impactful signing. I think.
I like it the more I think about it.
The more I think about it. And he's going to be a middle linebacker. And I really think that any sort of discussion about Sam Hurl and Cameron Judge is going to be outside guys.
Yeah, you build the pieces around Solomon Aluminium.
Jinxed you on that.
You don't do it around Sam Hurl or Cameron Judge. Those are the complementary pieces as opposed to the linchpins of your defense.
And I can put this personally, he's a talker too. And the kind of writers need someone to present their side of the story a little bit as players. And it doesn't seem as many.
They need a veteran leader who speaks for the team very well.
Brandon Labatt does that very well.
Yes, they need more of them.
He's on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side, Jovan Johnson was pretty good until he fell out of favor. Fell out of favor.
Iced tea is the flavor today.
So he was good. But they kind of need someone on the defensive side because Willie Jefferson.
And Gainey's really good.
Gainey and Willie. I'm not saying they didn't have them, but just listening to Solomon talk, you're going, holy smokes, this guy's intelligent. He knows how to deal with the media. And can he still play? A broken wrist isn't the end of the world.
No, I mean, if it's the legs, you worry.
Yeah.
What worries me is not so much Solomon Aluminium's age, but the age of the overall roster, and that could change.
You should write a column on that.
You look at how the team changed last year, right after the preseason, and they threw a bunch of veteran receivers overboard. Mm-hmm. So that demographic can change by the time the regular season begins. But right now, they're faced with the very strong possibility that at least 12 of their starters, and maybe as many as 14 or 15, could be past 30, and that's way too many.
I think that ever worked. What happened with him? How many did they have in 13?
10.
Well, and that was a pretty good group of 10 back then.
Yeah, but they're really pushing it. If you're asking, in baseball, they talk about when a hitter's in a slump, they say, can he play to the back of his baseball card? Can the numbers that he's traditionally recorded be attained this year?
But
can these players play to the back? There aren't any football cards anymore, are there, for the CFLs?
No.
Can they play proverbially to the back of their baseball cards in 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 instances? That's a lot to ask. Even if half of them pan out, half of them don't. You're really pushing it age-wise.
So what are they supposed to do? Just not sign older guys then, Rob?
Well, they've got Paul Jones.
Yeah.
Why aren't when they didn't sign Weston Dressler? Jeremy O'Day said that what they wanted to do was find the next Weston Dressler. Mm-hmm. Is that philosophy applicable to other positions, or do they just keep playing fantasy football and finding the veterans? And I expected more of a developmental emphasis with Paul Jones here with a new regime.
I think,
but I'm and maybe it will evolve that way, but I don't see it. I don't see a young receiver on the roster who's going to make me think, gee, that's the next.
Well,
Weston
you never
Dressler.
know what McInnes and what happened. Linus is going to happen with those two. They're not. I don't see.
They're not going to light it up right.
They're not going to light it up. And Weston Dressler.
But where's the slot back who's going to rip
Weston
apart
Dressler was a pretty special player, and I think we saw that from the rookie camp. The first day he showed up, we knew there was something different about this young guy, that he was going to be in a different league, and he proved to be that way. I don't know if you can ever find that. And that's a good point about. I wonder if Paul Jones. I was going through the roster, and there are young guys on there, youngish. Whether you start the starters or the backups, they're kind of like buried, like the list of linebackers, which is like this long. So maybe they are finding, but we just don't know who they are yet.
Yeah, and maybe they're looking at it and saying, okay, we've got these barometers with the veterans, and if the young guys can come in and approximate or approach the level at which they play, then we'll go with the young guy. But if not, we've got the insurance policy. So maybe that number of Americans could. I mean, I look at Corey Watson, for example. If one of these young Canadians can come in, there's no point to paying 35-year-old. No point paying Corey Watson, a 35-year-old, a veteran salary when you can give that position to Justin McInnes or Braden Lenius or Mitch Picton or
It's funny
Anyway.
how you brought up all those guys getting released on training camp day, the last day of training camp, and what I still think that was kind of the turning point of the season. They went on to make the playoffs, and they went on a 12-6 record, but still, what a day to see the names on those guys.
I remember writing this time last year, that receiving core looks loaded.
Yeah.
And by August, I'm ripping it.
Yeah.
And there's really been no cause to change the mindset with regard to the receiving core since. Maybe Kyran Moore develops as a player in year two, and
JD Cannon.
I really think KD Cannon can be something. And if the surname by itself, which is easier to pronounce than Antetokounmpo or Aluminium, is welcome. Shaq Evans, I don't know. Do you look at the 785 yards or do you look at the 0 touchdowns?
But you look at how they came twice within 2 yards of getting a touchdown.
He had one called back.
Yeah. He's another one.
They did not get a touchdown from a wide receiver last year in aerial football over 18 games. How does that happen?
I know. That's just amazing.
Zach Evans had more touchdowns than Shaq Evans. They had as many touchdowns on defensive returns as they did throwing the football. They haven't thrown a touchdown pass in 23 quarters. So my column today is on where is that player, or where are the players who are going to change that? I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
Maybe we'll see. You'll be at training camp. Maybe you'll see it next week.
I've been learning though that a lot of guys light it up in training camp and you never hear from them again, and you just go like they're cut. But are we going to have a training camp? Do you want to end up go there yet?
Yeah, let's go there. Yes.
Yes.
Next topic.
Well,
I think we will. I just there's
how much of it is it going to start Sunday?
Maybe a day or two is disrupted. In the overall equation, a day or two isn't really going to matter that much. There's a preseason game May 26th, and I think if it gets to the point where a preseason game is endangered, I think the teams then and the league has a lot more to lose than the players. The players are paid nominally for a first preseason game, which is especially to the veterans who comprise the majority of the rank and file of the CFLPA. It's an annoyance and an obligation. They're only going to play a quarter, maybe anyway. So it'd be very easy for the CFLPA to throw a preseason game overboard. But what happens to the teams then? Because that's revenue for them, that's sponsorships, that's concessions, and that's a real black eye. So I think May 26th might be more of a drop dead date than even the beginning of training camp.
There's also the issue of, let's say if they don't report to camp and go on strike, there's a sort of 3 or 4 teams that can go on strike on Sunday, and then the Alberta teams, I think BC kick up off on the 23rd. So there's a kind of an unbalanced striking ability there. And I think the CFLPA said in the latest media release that it's going to give some teams an unfair advantage. Let's say if the riders are on strike for 3 days and they're on the picket line and this agreement is settled, how do they balance out the training camp that they've had? Edmonton, let's say, would have had 3 extra days of practice and the riders won't. So that's kind of.
But training camp's a waste of time anyway. So
it honestly
is a waste.
Well up there. Hang on,
I just want to get to the June 13th regular season opener. All of this is just everybody looks good. Everything's wonderful. All these happy stories coming into training camp, and then come mid-July, who was that guy that we wrote about?
You keep saying that about that, and you've never written a story that we ever remembered from training camp. There's been great stories, but you don't remember them once the season starts, which is what happens in training. I think there'll be some interesting stories, but it's going to be. I remember in 2014 when they said they went to camp without a collective bargaining. Every second day we wrote about labor, and I look back and they were good. I think good, interesting stories because we had guys who knew what were going on with the riders, like Labatt and Ricky Foley, and
Ricky Foley was very outspoken,
and
Darian was outspoken.
Yeah, and so you always had a story to write about labor, so you kind of got away from the grinding monotony, I guess, of the same. This guy looks good, this guy looks bad, and whatnot. And so I guess I can hope for that if that happens. But my thinking is too. I think they're gonna. There are negotiations now. In my experience, I don't have any experience with labor other than my little bit in the CFL and my wife's.
And you're a union member.
And I'm a union. And my wife's been through labor 3 times, which was very, very exciting. She came through in the clutch.
But only 2 of them are getting married this year.
Yeah, that's right.
One of them on a Rider game weekend.
Yes, on a last Rider home game weekend. I wonder if she knows what I do for a living.
Go Jets.
Do you think she knows what I do for a living?
I'm not sure what you do for a living. You're a podcaster, aren't you?
Well, that's right. So where are we going there? I think they may. The fact that most negotiations go down to the last minute, I don't think is a worry. I think I'm kind of with the group that saw Randy Ambrosi at the the LFA finals on the weekend, and
Arash Madani made a
I don't know
issue of that on.
He's
on
not
Twitter.
on. I don't know if he's on the negotiating
The commissioner's
committee.
when you're this close to a deadline,
But are you
the
on
commissioner
negotiating?
has to be there.
I think, but he's not. Is he on the
and be
negotiating
seen
committee?
to be there?
Yeah, it seemed. I think he should be. It's an optics thing. I think he should be there, and I think Brian Ramsey's there, and Jeff Keeping's there, and those executive members of the CFLP. I assume they're there, unless you and I both know our paper's undergoing negotiations right now. Our union, you and I aren't there. We trust our negotiation committee to get everything in, all the P's and Q's.
Yeah, but we aren't in charge. Randy
Randy
Ambrosi is.
I don't think Paul Godfrey's sitting in. Whoever's in charge of Post Media is sitting in these negotiations. I don't know.
No, but we have an editor as part of the as part of the negotiations. So why wouldn't the commissioner be there?
Yeah, but I think, does he need to be there? I think
want to raise.
He should be there today. Maybe I think they were meeting yesterday on
They're
Sunday.
supposed to meet Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, so I think
Rhetoric to begin Wednesday.
I still think they met, and I still think they're moving ahead, and I still think negotiations go down to the last minute, and somehow, because I still maintain, I don't see a strikeable issue. I really don't. And it's fair play and respect, and I know that they want to have reasonable compensation for injuries that go on. I was reading about what Trey Mason's was released, and he had a knee injury in the end of the season, and that was in October. So he's got to this October to have coverage. What happens to him after that? And I think that's a really scary part. But do you go on strike for that? I don't know. Do you go on strike? You're on strike for money, I think. And how much support is there going to be for the veterans to say, I'll take less money so this rookie can make more? Because there's only so much of the pot to go around.
And how much is the cap going to increase? I mean, last time it was a nominal increase, and it might be a little bit more this time. The league will find ways to plead poverty.
Think what Brett Lowther did last year for the league minimum at $54,000. Like everything he kicked, and so did Lewis Ward too. I think he was a league minimum guy too.
Must have been.
So look at the money those guys made for what they accomplished and what they did to those teams. How much money they made them in getting them a home playoff. I think Ottawa had a home playoff game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Banks got hurt.
That's right.
Ottawa had a home playoff game as a result.
Yeah. So they got a home playoff
Corey
game.
Sheets got like $60,000 each year he played for the Rough Riders. Look what he did.
I know. So it's...
Yet the people who blocked, some of the people blocking for him made 3 times as much.
And that's the thing in the Canadian Football League is the Canadians make more money than these Americans make. And
but then Corey Sheets bought them hamburgers. Shouldn't it have been the other way around?
Corey Sheets.
There's certainly the means going in the other direction.
And it's funny. People always think, I want to be an NFL, I want to be a CFL player. I want to do everything. You're not doing it for the money. Some quarterbacks are. And offensive linemen, and maybe your
and
top,
Solomon Aluminium.
And your top 160,000, I think.
That's what Farhan Lalji reported.
That's pretty reasonable, don't you think? In the big picture of things.
Yeah. Right, riders should have some money to spend too.
Yeah.
They're not paying $700,000 for a quarterback, so they spend a lot of money on Micah Johnson, $250,000. They've assumed some larger contracts, but I still think there's some money to be spent there.
Yeah.
Are they sitting on their wallets, or would they be close to the cap right now?
So I'm just reading the Riders have done something here.
What have they done?
They've added Terry Iser to coach
formerly of the Rams
as a special teams coach.
I once played a touch football game in the U of R intramural league, and Terry Eisler was the referee.
Oh, that's
Isn't that
close.
interesting?
So he's so it's. I guess it's saying that Craig Dixon's still going to be the coordinator, but he's going to have a coach, and that kind of makes sense. I guess I don't know. We had I think they had one extra spot open still. So Terry Eisler has now been added to the coach as a new special teams coach. So there's the latest news from my phone. And we had something else I was going to bring up.
What else is hot? Hamilton Tiger Cats, speaking of coaching. June Jones leaves them abruptly. Goes to
this
the
XFL.
XFL.
I don't think he was ever going to stay. I don't know why. I don't know. I think this XFL, it's an old friend of his as a coach, I think. So there's those ties. It kind of leaves him in the lurch because he was the offensive coordinator.
They've got Tommy Condell, though. So
he knows what he's
that's
doing.
a really easy flip. I'm surprised that Tommy Condell wasn't already the offensive coordinator.
I know we're going to talk about Crapena and Brett Lowther.
Isn't it Crapena? Sorry, bad joke.
Yeah.
It's the first time I haven't had to say Crapena when you said Crapena. Tomato.
Anyway.
Sorry.
I think the Riders had to let one go.
There's
no way you could go on a training camp or two. And I think they picked the right guy.
They could have done it in the days when you had unlimited camp rosters. And remember John Herrera bringing 130 players to training camp? Then you could have done it. But when you've got what is it 75 plus draftees plus juniors plus whatever, as soon as there's a finite amount of players, then there's no point going to camp with two kickers
And really-
when you know what the outcome's going to be.
And they'll know it's going to be Brett Lowther's going to win it. I think, and nothing against Tyler. I just think that Brett Lowther is more of a proven commodity right now, and you don't take a chance on a guy who's coming off surgery on his hip.
You know what?
kinda need
10
one of
years
those.
from now, they're both going to be kicking in the Canadian Football League, and they're both going to be kicking well.
Tyler's not done. He could show up here again. And sometimes if Brett struggles a little bit, boom, there's no coaches don't show any sort of qualms about switching kickers.
Well, remember Chris Milo? He was a very good kicker in 2013, and subsequently to that, Corey Chamberlain really couldn't wait to make a change at kicker.
Yeah.
He struggled in 2014. Hello, Paul McCallum in 2015.
Exactly.
So it can change. Dave Ridgway had probably his best year ever in 1993, and by the end of 95, Ray Yawk couldn't wait to make a change, and there was...
As soon as the coach
Paul
loses confidence in your kicker, it's a whole other game. And I'm not saying that Chris Jones lost confidence in these guys. Like Tyler, for whatever he did to his hip, he had surgery and he was back.
He made a 51-yard field goal in a preseason game last year, and then had hip surgery.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you could make a 51-yard field goal in that with dealing with that sort of ailment. It tells you how good he is.
As a writer, I just cheer for the story, and I think we need more chapters of this Brett Lowther story. I think it's just the fact that he kicked around for so long and so patient, and came out and did so well, missed his first attempt as a pro, and then missed 5 after that. I guess probably because it was
54 for 6. The same thing happened in 1987. The Riders got Dave Ridgway back from Montreal after the dispersal draft. And they played their opening game against Calgary, and their kicking was all awful. I think Mike McTagg missed a convert. I mean, it was just terrible. So they couldn't wait to get Dave Ridgway back. I think their second game of the year was against BC, and Dave Ridgway missed his first field goal. And after that, he basically could not miss. And he was a CFL All-Star it turns out for the second time in 1987. But he missed his first field goal in 1987, and so did Brett Lowther in 2018. That's the most pointless bit of trivia I've ever.
Well, a while ago, I know that they had Dave Ridgway and Bobby Jurison were up here for the Grey Cup, for the 30th anniversary of that Grey Cup, which would be pretty cool.
Buy my book.
Okay, I will. How's it end? It was nice talking to them, and it's funny because you have those times you're like, it was working. Like I was kind of like the Z squad back then. I wasn't really covering the Riders. I just kind of got thrown out there when they were really short, but they still remember you, and they still, Jurison he lived down the corner for us, and he lived in those condos, and it was great talking to him and Ridgway. So anyway, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, now we're just, those little, I don't know what they're called, but like you used to really get to be able to know able to know the players. Even if you weren't, like I've never covered the Riders as a beat, like never.
No.
32 years here, I've never spent one day as the Rider beat writer. But I knew players from the teams in the late 80s and early 90s when I didn't even cover football at all, when I was a season ticket holder in Section 204. But I could say hello to Jeff Fairholm and Dave Ridgway and Dan Rastovich and players, players like that. I knew you knew them.
Yeah.
And now, what are those things called on Twitter where nobody puts a
an egg?
The egg.
Yeah.
I think when the Riders look at the media now, it's just like egg. Like I don't think there's really no
unless you ask them questions they don't like, and then they remember you pretty quickly.
But it's really changed in that.
Well, the podium's the end of life is a podium, and I hate that podium. And
somebody lectured me one day and said it's actually not a podium, it's a lectern. Hannibal lectern.
Okay, it's a lectern.
So
I guess
I try to use lectern, but everybody says podium. But you're right. There's no give. There's no connection.
Like I would have loved to the other day.
I'd love to take a book of matches to that podium.
Well, Jeremy O'Day was talking about. I knew Jeremy O'Day's experience as being a Dan Clark type guy, an ambassador for the team, driving all over the province. Things I remember him telling me stories about getting caught in snowstorms. And he said the other day about he got in a car accident. He got hit, wasn't injured, serious, not the same thing. And in old days, if you'd you'd go into that and you'd get a little more meat to it, and you could write something
or take somebody aside and
talk.
Just say
yeah. But now because you're on the lectern. And we're watching Solomon
Antetokounmpo.
Aluminium standing there waiting to go on to get his turn on the lectern. And Jeremy, as most people are, the football people, they move on. They don't like to look back. Ken Miller was good for that. I don't want to talk about the guy that's gone. I want to talk about the guy who's here. So I didn't really want it. You couldn't expand on it a little more because it's not that type of place or that type of atmosphere for that. So there was a good story, I think, in my mind that could have been told that we really didn't get a chance because of the way things are set up now. Whereas in the old days, you could talk to guys at their locker. You could have we get a little bit now because the locker rooms are open, but Even
one
that's
day a week.
and even that's becoming so predictable. You know, it's the same guys everyone's talking. You're not getting a chance to sit and talk to the guys themselves and get that sort of relationship building that happens, unless it goes the other way. Because sometimes the beat guy asks questions they don't want to hear. They don't want to talk about. They're looking at their checks. They don't want to talk about what happened in the game anymore. They're moving on. But we don't let them move on. So
yeah, it's just a different vibe and a different way of doing things. And there's a lot more people covering the team than there used to be.
Well, the coverage used to be...
And that lent itself to sort of this homogeneous approach to...
Homogeneous?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
It's the guy who's really smart about milk.
Oh, is that what it is?
Is it homogeneous or homogenous? I got to look this up now.
I think homogeneous might be a little bit better word. But
I learned the word in high school, but I never learned how to pronounce it.
You always kind of stump me with those. I had a really great thought there that I was going to throw at you.
Sorry, well, you keep doing that while I look up the pronunciation of
Okay,
we're into pronunciations today.
I can't make you think of what I was going to say, but I know there used to be more opportunity to talk to people and get those kind of things, and that's just the way the game has gone right now, that they don't really... I think some of them know who we are because we've been around for quite a while, but some of them don't.
What's an upside down E mean? They're trying to tell me how to pronounce this. HOM upside down E. It looks like homogeneous. Why did I say homogeneous? Anyway,
I don't know. It's a big word. I can't forget. I had a really good statement to make too.
I'm sorry. I ruined
can't
this
go on the
podcast again.
But it was really good. I guess we can move on to other stuff. So they have a rookie camp here. I was under the impression they weren't having one because I kind of thought they'd blown their rookie days away at the mini camp in Florida.
But it wasn't a mini camp. It was a free agent camp.
Yeah. Well,
whereas Winnipeg had, I think, something that was more...
But they're having
like a camp.
So now it's always things, which is interesting, as a beat guy trying to figure out who's a rookie and who's a first-year player, which is always one of those things. You look at a guy who maybe could be a guy like Valentino Blake. He's got NFL experience, so he's not a rookie, so he shouldn't be there.
I think it's more first-year CFLers, like people who require an initiation of the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, and quarterbacks So I somehow doubt Zach Claris is going to be there. Cody's going to be there, and Watford's a vet, so he won't be there. So that leaves Isaac Harker as the only quarterback in my mind that's going to be there, unless they've signed somebody new.
You know, and you wonder how the collective bargaining negotiations are going to.
Well, none of these guys are under contracts unless and it's
because quarterbacks can participate. So why? Right?
I know they said they wouldn't do any work up until the 18th.
Even with the quarterbacks? I thought the quarterbacks were exempted from that.
I don't know.
Because they need to get their arms limbered up.
Well, I would think it'll be interesting. And
well, who do you want to watch at the rookie camp? We know there'll be a rookie camp.
There will be a rookie camp. I was just working on the list of names to... there's one, and I think
I want to see Isaac Harker. The quarterbacks are...
Oh, actually, you want to see what he can do, and you see what he can... there's a guy named Chad Guest. Does that name ring a bell? He's a 20-year-old.
Pavlov. That name rings a bell.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just looking up the rookie names when you came into this afternoon, so I can't remember all of them.
Was that the defensive lineman who was
20?
Was a highly rated junior college player? And
well, that's Jeremy Falk. He was on Last Chance U. His name came up. I noticed his name from Last Chance U, and he was a Gardner City Community College was a star. Doesn't seem to have any sort of information on what happened to him after community college, other than he went straight to the NFL. So he's a big guy that would be kind of worth watching.
Justin McInnes,
if he's here.
By the sounds of it, his minicamp experiences in the NFL weren't fruitful in terms of landing a contract.
So he'd be
Braden Lenius.
I was trying to think. Sorry, you really kind of set me off here. I really have a list of names on my desk right now. Vincent Roy, offensive lineman. Does that excite you?
Well, he's likely going back to college, though.
Yeah, he's going back to college.
Christopher Judge, 4 years out of football.
Yeah, I don't understand if they can come to rookie camp if they sign. Are they CFLPA members? I don't know what happens to that. I guess we'll find out when the CFLPA finds out about those rookie camps.
Yeah, and I don't think that there'll be any objections to those going on. The CBA doesn't expire till the end of the week, so those will proceed. It'll just be nice to see something. Especially the Jets, like I mentioned, the Jets are done, the Nuggets are done. I need a life. Beyond my anniversary on Wednesday, I need something to sustain me. So rookie camp on Thursday will be rejuvenating.
Well, the Raptors start on Wednesday, too.
I really don't care.
You don't care?
No. My heart got ripped. I'm cheering for Portland now, actually.
Yeah.
I really like watching Portland. Damian Lillard driving to the basket's an amazing thing. C.J. McCollum is just such a great player.
Something no one says. I think need to see more of Drake on the sidelines. Something. How much do people? That's maybe someone tell me. How much do people pay to sit right in beside the players on the sideline in an NBA game? Like, how much money does that?
You know what? He probably doesn't have to pay.
Well,
he's Drake. Like, do you think the Lakers say to Jack Nicholson, "Okay, Jack, we're invoicing you for this year's, and you get 10% off if you renew by."
But I was watching.
No, there's the cachet of having Jack Nicholson or Drake.
Yeah,
at your sidelines.
But where Drake's seats were the other night, I think I was watching Nick Nurse.
Like Spike Lee probably doesn't pay.
Nick Nurse walked in front of him the whole time, and Drake stands up. So imagine you're paying whatever thousands of dollars for to sit in the front row, and you're paying whatever thousands of dollars to sit in the second row, and this guy keeps standing up in front of you. So how do you see the game? I don't know if it's
still great. I remember a couple of times I've gone to those U of R games and sat in those special seats right by the court. It's great.
Well,
even for a university game, that's such there's not a better place to watch a sporting event anywhere than courtside of basketball.
Yeah, I know. We've been very fortunate. Most of the games we sit through, that's where the media sits, is right by courtside.
I suppose you get center ice seats for a hockey game. Well the plays either they're scoring goals at both ends to your flanks.
Where can you bang on the glass? That's the guy I want to kill.
Or the guy who waves at the TV camera while the game's underway.
No, I don't.
Stop that.
That's not as bad as the guy. And I'm trying.
But the glass bangers.
Carolina was probably the worst glass. No, Columbus was one of the worst glass bangers too. And I was trying. You could see them on TV, and no one would stop them.
Yeah. And how would you like to be the person sitting behind the guy in the first row or the girl in the first row banging on the glass?
Yeah.
Or standing up and banging on the glass? Like what are you paying for that seat? Yeah. And then all you see is the back of somebody's jersey. It just doesn't really seem to be a wise expenditure.
If training camp starts and everything happens and we get through the whole training camp and the regular season starts, what are your thoughts on where the Riders are going to be in November? Do you want to go there?
Certainly not in Calgary.
No way. You don't think so?
They're going to need something spectacular from Zach Collaros. They're going to need a receiving core that allows Zach Collaros to be spectacular. I think they've got some elements to their offense that create the possibility of an improvement because their offensive line is going to be good, and the running game with William Powell is going to, I think, give them some options with things like play action. But still, I look at that receiving core and I look at that quarterback, and even if Zach Collaros plays well, it's a tall order to ask anyone to play 18 regular season games, and they don't have a backup that they know can go in there. So I like the team overall. I think their defense is going to be very good again. Their offensive line's strong. Their running game is good. But the number one deficiency coming out of last year was quarterbacking and receivers. And the number one deficiency going into this season is quarterbacking and receivers.
And regardless of everything else you say about the CFL, it's wonderful how the defense, if you don't have a quarterback and you don't have receivers, you're not going to be successful. Yeah. They proved me wrong last year. But you're not going to get that final step. You're not going to be able to move on if you can't get someone to. Maybe Naaman Roosevelt can carry them, but I don't know if he's going to be.
Well, the one thing that keeps nagging at me, and I think it's a counter argument to what I've been advancing, is what if Zach Collaros can replicate that game in Calgary? And he never got a chance to go to Calgary again because he got hurt.
Yeah.
And but he went into Calgary, played his best game as a Rough Rider. Tremendous game. He's unable to play against Winnipeg in the playoff game, and that was a disaster. And you mentioned Naaman Roosevelt. Naaman Roosevelt was open for 2 touchdowns in that game. And if Zach Collaros is quarterbacking, say what you want about Zach Collaros, but he's going to complete at least one of those passes and probably both. Mm-hmm. And the Riders and probably end up winning that game if Zach Collaros is playing. And then they go to Calgary. And does he get a chance to reprise what happened in the regular season in Calgary? And that opportunity never arose. And
but you also,
so is Zach Collaros that guy, or is he the injury-prone quarterback who lost 31-0 in Winnipeg?
That's
like
also, and you think we're talking about how the Riders, the other teams also have BC has Mike Riley, Calgary has Bo Levi, Edmonton has Trevor Harris,
Winnipeg has Matt Nichols,
and the Riders have Zach. So how would you rank if you ranked all those 5? Who would be last?
Yeah, they're with 5 without a security blanket.
Yes, so every other team has a security blanket too, and they have these great quarterbacks. So it's a tough division quarterback wise. The Riders arguably might be in the best shape defensively, but offensively they're going to be chasing everybody. And As it says, when you wrote about Derek Taylor and he's found all these details about Zach from 2015 and those great numbers, but we still saw what Zach put up last year, and it wasn't, other than that one Calgary game, it wasn't the numbers that made you think.
But what if the pass protection, and the pass protection was pretty good by and large last year, especially as the season evolved. But what if he gets good protection, there's a good running game, and what if Naaman Roosevelt can
What if?
What if he can be the 1,000-yard receiver again?
Yep. Does a 1,000-yard running back guarantee them a better season?
I think it helps.
Yeah.
There was nothing about their running game last year that was extraordinary
until
Marcus Thigpen got in there.
But it was second in the CFL.
But is that a volume deal? Like their average per carry was nothing exceptional.
I know, but I keep looking at
pounding away because they couldn't throw.
I know, but you keep looking. They were second in the CFL with 2,400 rushing yards.
Yeah, but their average per carry was, as Derek Taylor has pointed out repeatedly, the 5.1 yards per carry for Trey Mason, I think, was second or third worst in the league among regular tailbacks. Now you've got the kaboom factor that Marcus Thigpen could infuse into the offense, but
I still wanted to see him.
He didn't carry the ball enough.
I'd like to see him as a receiver a lot more as a slot back. I think he could be.
Or put him out of the backfield and put him on a linebacker and watch him sizzle, which is something they didn't try enough last year either. So
we also I don't think there's much of an update on John Ryan. And a week before training camp, Jeremy O'Day kind of said they've been talking, and I think that means they're talking money. And I haven't heard back from John lately, but who knows if he's going to be here or not. They still have a pretty good. That's one of these things. They have a punter that's serviceable, that can do the job. So why do they need to drop 80 or 100 grand on another punter whenever they got Josh Bartel who can do the job? And I know there's all sorts of other reasons for John Ryan, but they have a punter. Why do you need to create that sort of...
Okay, can he give them a dimension with their punting game that they don't currently have? Or are they so committed to this system-oriented punting where it's a very directional-oriented punting game, and the numbers don't look good. The net is not good, and the gross is gross.
Gross, yes.
So, but is that Josh Bartel, or is that what they're asking Josh Bartel to do? I would think it's the latter, because if you look at his career average, he's usually 44, 45. Last year, the bottom falls out of the birdcage, and it's 40.9.
This is also the holder.
In a year, it's not going to... A punter isn't going to decline by 4 yards in a year. So it has to be what they're asking him to do. And if it's cog in a wheel, I think the question becomes, do you need to bring John Ryan here to make him the cog in the wheel? I would love to see John Ryan finish his career in green and white. He deserves it. The city deserves it.
There's a lot of sentimental reasons, but still remember it's a business. And don't ever forget, this is the same business that cut Weston Dressler, cut John Chick. All those guys.
Cut Bobby Jurison.
All these guys.
Cut Dave Ridgway. The two guys you interviewed.
I know. And I miss Ray Elgar there.
And I
miss Ray Elgar there too. And Ray was late, so it was always good to chat. I think we have to cheer for the Raptors. We're going to go Raptors.
No, I'm cheering for Portland. I don't want Golden State to win again. For Murray McCormick, I'm Rob.
I know it doesn't match the shirt, but tell you, go Raptors. It's fun to watch. We're going to cheer for them. Want me to read this?
Sure.
Or do you have more football left to talk?
I just make sure I'll write Antetokounmpo on there, so you have to try it.
All right. Please rate us on iTunes and leave a review. It helps us grow the podcast. If you'd like to send us a question, I think we had a question.
I asked for questions and I got none.
You can email Rob at robvanstone@postmedia.
No.
What? Rob at rvanstone@postmedia.com, and we'll read it on the show.
As you can see, we've been flooded by questions.
And if you have any Raptors questions, please just remember I only know one or two guys. No, I don't. I know all the guys, but it's fun. It's fun cheering. It's a fun spring when the Raptors are good, and maybe a chance to go to the finals.
Yeah,
which still drives me nuts because it's not a finals; it's a final.
I hate that. Or when people refer to the World Hockey Championships.
Yes.
No, there's just one championship being decided.
Well,
that's a Greg Drinnanism.
The NBA finals. It's not the final. It's a final, and it's right. And they always call them. It's always
even the league brands it as the finals, but it's a final.
It's exactly it.
Anyway,
and I'm perfect in the other part of my life, so I can live in a glass house, so I can poke fun at people. Anyway,
those who live in glass houses need Windex.
Exactly, or drapes.
So, Murray, it's been a pleasure
as always. And somehow we'll figure out next week. I'm at training camp. I'll be there regardless. To be covering the picket line or covering the offensive line or defensive line.
I think you just talked yourself into a lead.
Yeah.
For Murray McCormick and the Toronto Raptors, I'm Rob Vanstone. This is a green-oriented podcast, so let's hear it for the Milwaukee Bucks. And
No.
go Bucks.
Go Bucks. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's put a Coke on it. For Murray, I'm Rob. Thanks for being with us, and we'll do this next week with number 51 if we can figure out the logistics. Take care.